That's why they need police. They need law. They need courts. They need lawyers. They need agreements for marriage. You know the kind of social capital we have built. In India today, I have seen businessmen who give the word, no writing, nothing. Even today, hundreds of crores of transactions take place by word of mouth. Is it not a big asset? How much it reduces the transaction cost? If you study the comparative figures of the Japanese and the American economy between 1970 and 1990, it's available, it's all on the net. The biggest advantage Japan had was in transaction cost. America lagged behind in competition because of transaction cost. Because it is a relation-based society. It's not a contract-based society. There is a relationship between an individual and the family. The individual can never claim the rights which an American individual claims in this country. He has to trade off his rights with the family. He has to trade off his rights with the society. You know, people have come here from Coimbatore. In 2001, I had a discussion with, I can mention the name also, S.V. Balasubramanian, in whose balance sheet I found some 1,000 crores. I told him, sir, there are so many companies available here. Why don't you take over? He said, sir, Samudayakku kettatadu. I will become a bad name in the community. Then maybe you can take over. I put a provocative question. You can take over the companies belonging to other communities. Between two communities there will be a problem. Where do you fit it into market economy? But it exists, it's a fact. And you want to destroy it to produce a market economy. You are not producing a market economy, you are producing a market society. The society becomes a market, family becomes a market. So unless you understand the wider dimensions of the issue, there are more profound questions, difficult questions. And the family members must know it. They must know about our tradition, our culture, our situation, the drives of the economy. It's not what I am saying, the family drive the Indian economy is true. This year, the government of India will be borrowing 6.5 lakh crores for its survival. The Greek government is not able to do it. Spain is not able to do it. America is not able to do it. Why? Because the Americans do not save that much. The Indian families will be depositing this year 8 lakh crores in banks. You know, in 1991, our bank deposit to GDP ratio was 34%. Today it is 69%. That's why the government is surviving. Families have saved this country. And you have done nothing to nurture the families. You have done things to destroy the families. You enact a law, Domestic Violence Act, and say this is the most progressive legislation. Husband and wife clash is always true in every society. You know, Sweden is number 8 in Human Development Index. 50% of the bureaucrats are women. 51% of the professionals are women. More than 50% of the parliamentarians are women. 47% of the municipal councillors are women. 67% of the men and women live together, anybody with any length of time. And the children born are the property of the state. You know the population of this country? Less than 9 billion. And you want to follow that country? It is not going to exist after 50 years. Because they are exhausted their civilizational assets. Man and woman will not live together. Like Americans are trying to give tax concessions to make husband and wife live together. That is the last thing by which a wife will live together with the husband. You must understand that something which is lost, something which is profound, something which has worked for thousands of years, that we have to factor into our DNA. It is in our DNA, but it's not in your intellectual discourse. It is not in your systems. I'll give you a small example. You know, Confucius, the Chinese thinker, he always kept telling the emperor, you are not important, only the family is important. what do you mean? I want to take care of all of you. And how is it that I am not important? He said, you are not important. Then he said, I have to maintain law and order. You agree? You have to maintain law and order. Let's assume a son sees a father killing somebody. Should he not come and report to my police? He said, under no circumstances he should report. Then if I file a case and ask the son to testify in court, should he or should he not tell the truth? He should never tell the truth. He should tell a lie to protect his father. He said, Confucius, what are you saying? He said, I am saying this because the families will be outclassed in the empire. Without families, there is no human system. This is fundamental. Families go with culture, with traditions, with belief, with pride. And no family can exist without pride. Even a very small man. You must have seen that great program in television. In UP villages, they pasted in front of each house, this is a BPL family. They revolted and said, remove this. Who will give daughter-in-law to us if my family is advertised as a BPL family? This is not true of only TVS as pride. Murugappa has pride. Even a small man, in his place, he has pride. It is the pride about the family which makes a man not to do mistakes. Because family pride will be affected. That's why in villages, when the father comes drinking, the wife will go and bring him to the rear door and make him sleep so that the sons do not see, children do not see, others do not see. It's not that we prevented people from drinking. There was a discipline to drink. But what we have done in modernity, cocktail party. For which you feel shy, you transpose the society into a shameless society. We can't. We have to think about all this. And unless we go into the root of these issues, it is difficult for a civilization like India. And it's going to play a very major role in the world. By 2035, India is recognized to become, whether India wants it or not, a global power. In fact, America has produced a research paper, I don't know how many of you have gone through it. They have said, dump Pakistan, go with India, because we cannot police the entire world, and India has the civilization, it has the resources, it has the power, it has the intellect, it has the tradition, and it has a non-conflicting tradition. And we have to partner India. Dump Pakistan, it will go to pieces. Let us not bother about it. This is the latest attitude of American thinking. But a carbon copy cannot become a global power. You have to think for yourself. And if this group, who deal with the world, we are the window of the world. The professionals, the businessmen, the lawyers, the chartered accountants. And if we don't understand the depth of this civilization, its history, and a family is a species of this huge civilization, and it has held on. In spite of all the assaults, it has held on. The Indian women sang the advertisement songs but never bought the goods, and that is how we could produce huge amount of savings. We are not somebody who underspent. Our savings to GDP ratio in this family level 29%. Our consumption is 59%. The recommended consumption is 66%. America is consuming more, and China is consuming so less that it can't start to consume more because it will implode. It can't stop consuming more, otherwise it will collapse. That kind of problem is not there. We have a balanced attitude to savings and consumption. There is culture. There is a family influence. There is a society influence. These are all assets. This cannot be created by legislation. This cannot be created by government order. But it can be destroyed by legislation and government order. So we have to think, intellectuals who can think. This group should not think only for itself. It has a duty and responsibility to think for the society, the country. And we are heading to captain the world. We are going to be one of the 3 world powers by 2050. America, China and India. Politics will work out the details, relationships and all that, but we have to work out our own intellectual approach. We need our own thinking, our own model, our own HR, our own business model, our own thinking, our own way of succeeding. You know, in the Indian company side, there is not a single provision about resolving family disputes. Because there is no family in England. If I copy that law, you need a company act in which families are integrated and everybody is a shareholder. They are not shareholders. There is a relationship between them. We are not shareholders of Reliance, are related to each other. We are related to each other. That's an asset as well as an obligation. It can become a problem. It can implode. How to solve this? And you are got to go and say, as if we are unrelated to each other, you hold a meeting directed by your court. Nothing. 4 people are sitting there. You want the court's direction? See how foolish we are. That the ground reality is this, and your law has nothing to do with it, because if you pass that kind of law, you feel inferior. Because you are accepting family-based business, you want to destroy it. You got to destroy it. It's a larger issue. So I always, whenever, in my corporate advisory, one thing I found was, in a very big dispute, the elder brother kept on saying how foolish the younger brother is, he's an idiot, this, that, he knows nothing, and he listens to X, Y, his wife. I told him, don't you think your responsibility is more? You should have taken better care of him. You say he was so loyal to you, so nice to you, so obedient to you. The man sat, half an hour later he told me, do what it says. I failed in my duty. You can never get this out of an individualistic civilization. It is possible only in a family situation. However much problem you may have, I don't want my family prestige affected in public. You will suffer, you will cry, you will writhe in pain. This is relation-based society. There is a relationship which you can never ignore. All these implications have to be debated. And it has to be factored into. And whenever people used to come to me with a partnership deed or anything, I said, you are signing a deed to fight tomorrow. Your brothers are joining together to start. I said, you are joining together to fight tomorrow. Be careful. You create a practical mindset. I have seen this happen. In the year 1977, when a Marwari family came to me, with fights between brothers, Madras-based family. And I said, can you find some elder in your community and go and talk to them? They came with a legal notice to be sent. I said, don't send a legal notice. Elder brother should never send a legal notice to their family. They were stunned. Because the lawyers have told them you have to send it. I said, don't do it. You go to the elders in the community. There is a Marwari Panchayat system. They went and told, and in 45 days they resolved the dispute. And the rules of the dispute was they will never give their award in writing, because cash, this, that, jewelry, everything is there. They will orally say, this belongs to you, this belongs to you, this belongs to you. You have to give this to you, you have to give this to you. People have to note down. And if one person doesn't honor, they will spread the word in the community, this man is not reliable. That's it. This is social capital. This is an asset. You should never lose it. And lawyers make it lose it. I know my own good friends. Ashok Desai, a senior counsel, used to tell me, Guru, you will see that we all become bankrupt because you are solving the dispute. Of course, in a right way. The first thing the lawyer does is send a legal notice. And the elder brother says, sir, my elder brother has sent a legal notice to me, sir. The wound becomes so deep, it is difficult to bring it to the state of reconciliation. So it's a very sensitive issue. And I came only to share my thoughts very plainly. We need to rethink, reposition ourselves. We need an intellectual re-engineering of the Indian businessmen. And I told one of the leading corporates, you appoint any person as your successor who doesn't bear your surname, you are undoing your doom. These are a method of looking at it. You may call it pluralistic, you may call it anything. This is a fact which you have to handle. So I feel that we should handle facts ruthlessly, and we should not have imaginary understanding, and we should not think, if you talk this, people will think you are backward. Yes, you are backward. What's wrong with it? Are you producing result or not? That is the most important thing. Economic result is ultimately the delivery point for the world. When India exploded the Pokhran atom bomb, the economic managers of India said this country has destroyed our economy. This is the last point I am making, how important it is to have national pride. Tarasena, one of the very well-known advertisement executives, she wrote an article in 2001 in Economic Times where she had captured this. She said she was a woman brought up in tradition, so she never used to stay in hotels in the course of her travel across the world. And she always used to stay with some family, friends. She said, for 20 years, I have only heard Indians abusing India as a dirty country, rotten country. See the traffic, see the temple, see this, see the... She said, I never used to sleep. But amazingly, all this changed on one day, the day on which the Pokhran atom bomb was exploded. India remained the same. Their minds changed. They began celebrating it because India became a power. We must internalize the cultural power of India. Joseph Nye, who wrote in 1981, America is seen as a rowdy, a hard power. It has a lot of soft power. Harvard, Stanford, Mickey Mouse, Coca-Cola. This is the soft power of America. Where are you always projecting the mighty military power? So America must change its course. Forget Vietnam. We must go on soft power. This decided the entire diplomatic thrust of America. And Joseph Nye wrote in the year 2001, India is the greatest emerging soft power in the world. Your culture, your tradition, your non-conflicting way of approaching the world, you have no problem with gods. You have 33 crore gods, you can worship any number of gods. You have more gods than human beings. In 1920, our population of gods was more than the population of human beings. And I want you to read one paper by an IMD professor, Jean-Pierre Levin, on monotheistic religions and Hinduism. There he said quite clearly, the greatest contribution of India is that it has taught its people how to worship thousands of gods. So they have no conflict with God. And it is only this attitude which is going to enable globalization to work. Otherwise, globalization will be unworkable unless the approach of accepting all gods, all faiths, all traditions, all cultures, all way of worship, all ways of eating, all culinary arts becomes the norm of the world. Only we can deliver it. We have a responsibility, and this group must begin thinking in depth. It should not have a superficial discussion. I'm extremely happy I got this opportunity to share my thoughts with you.